2017 had a ton of great games to play, and 2018 had too many great games to play. I don't know what you call 2019.
I can't hold all these video games!
Yeah, that's about right. 2019 was another great year for gaming, with more games than I could possibly handle. Yet somehow, here we are. Sadly, I wasn't able to play everything, so keep that in mind when watching this list. I also won't be talking about any expansions, remasters, or up-res ports of older games. However, remakes are fair game. As always, feel free to let me know your favorites in the comments below. In any case, let's look at my top 10 games of 2019. Honorable mention: Monster Hunter World Iceborn. So I know I said I wasn't going to talk about expansions, but this is my one exception to that rule. If I did allow expansions on the main list, this might take the top spot. Still, I feel it unfair to do this list and not at least mention this game. Iceborn takes the already fantastic gameplay of Monster Hunter World and expands it with new content to boot. The new world not only offers new monsters, quests, and gear to craft, but it also adds new elements such as the new house system and clutch claw mechanics, to name a few. I won't spend too much time here since this is my top game of 2018, and you already know how I feel about it. Just know that with Iceborn, the game has gotten even better, a feat that still amazes me. If you haven't played Monster Hunter World, I can't recommend it enough, and this expansion adds more value and fun to an already amazing game. Also, Iceborn is finally on PC, so everyone can experience the new content. The only negative I can find is this game doesn't support crossplay. Yet. Honorable mention: Blazing Chrome. This year we got a spiritual successor to the Contra series in Blazing Chrome. We also got a new Contra game this year. The less said about that, the better. Like I said, Blazing Chrome is a spiritual successor to the Contra games, Contra 3 to be more precise. It brings back the hard-as-balls 2D run-and-gun gameplay that I'm all too familiar with, and just gets it so right. This probably would have made the main list, but I just haven't had enough time with it. However, once my physical release from Limited Run comes in, I'm sure it'll get a ton more play. Honorable mention: Ion Fury. I was pretty late to the game on this one, but Ion Fury is that classic FPS gameplay we all know and love. Running on the same engine as games like Duke Nukem 3D, it's a modern FPS made with said older engine, even down to the file size being less than 100 megabytes. That being said, it also has the same trappings of those games, such as bugs and sometimes incomprehensible level design, but that sort of adds to the charm too. If you love classic FPS games like Duke 3D, Doom, Quake, or Unreal, you can't let this one pass you by. Alright, enough with the honorable mentions. Let's get to the list proper. Number 10. Dragon Marked for Death. It seems my love for indie creates knows no bounds, as to surprise and shock to no one, I enjoyed Dragon Marked for Death. It's a mission-based side-scrolling action game along the same veins as Mega Man Zero, but with the added fun that co-op brings. I had a blast playing this game with friends, and it's not too bad in single player either. The game gives me the same vibes as Monster Hunter with its quest-based gameplay, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. However, there's one big reason this is low on the list, and that's the digital release. For some reason, they decided to split the game into 2 releases, each only with 2 characters available. Now I can see where this might make sense. Why pay for a full roster of characters if you're only going to use 1 or 2? However, that makes less sense because you can change characters whenever you want, making it head-scratching as to why they would do this. In any case, if you want the full experience, your best bet is to get a physical copy. Luckily, a big update is coming and it will add even more content, so now is the best time to dive into this fantastic game. Number 9. Fire Emblem: Three Houses. This is one I expect to be pretty high on most people's lists. Fire Emblem Three Houses is probably the best the series has ever produced. I say probably because while I own several games in the series, I've not completed any of them, this one included. See, I started the series on the DS and only really got invested with Awakening, and I'm sure most don't count Fire Emblem Warriors, so I won't go into that. However, I am a fan of tactical RPGs like Final Fantasy Tactics, so this game is right up my alley. To no one's surprise, I love this game, and had a really great time playing it. The gameplay is fun, building strategies makes for some really cool combos, the presentation, graphics, voice acting, and music are all great, and the story is engaging. Not to mention all the stuff you can do outside of battle, and you can see why this is such a fantastic game. So why is it so low on my list then? Well, while I enjoyed the character building things there are to do, this added hours to the game and kept me from progressing the story too far. While you can skip all the side stuff, it's not recommended to do as you get significant enhancements to your party in combat. It's certainly possible to skip all the side stuff and just play through the main game, but you'll be missing out on not just important story and character beats, but those skills and benefits. To the point that I have 20 hours in this game and I'm still on chapter 4 of part 1. Eventually, I got overwhelmed and stopped playing, not because I wanted to, but because I needed a break from it. I already have a hard time completing RPGs, and if they don't grab me, I move on. And sadly, it became a time sink that made me less invested in it as I played on. I can already hear people's reaction to this, however, this is my feelings on the game and I'm not going to hold back just because some of you might find my criticisms invalid. All that being said, Fire Emblem Three Houses is a game worth your time, just make sure you're not playing anything else at the same time. Number 8. Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night. 2019 was the year Koji Igarashi's Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night was finally released. For those of you unaware, it is a Metroidvania-style game from the man who basically wrote the book on the genre. I backed it on Kickstarter for a physical PS4 version and was able to play through it enough to get one of the endings. I'm not a big fan of these types of games, but this one was really fun. I don't want to spoil much for anyone still playing it, but I felt it was very much worth the wait and I'm looking forward to future games in the series. Plus, it has JoJo references. Number 7. Earth Defense Force, Iron Rain. It may come as no shock that I'm a big fan of the EDF series. I mean, I've been playing through 4.1 on my Let's Play channel since 2017. Corey and I really need to finish that game. It's a more niche series that I've always enjoyed. I mean, what could be better than blasting hordes of alien insects? Well, to be honest, the games have never been optimized well, and I'm not blind to their bugs and jank, but they have a certain charm to them that makes them fun to play, especially with friends. In 2019, we were lucky enough to get 2 releases in the series, first being finally getting Earth Defense Force 5 translated into English, and a new side game developed by Ukes. See, most of the series is made by Sandlot, and previous side games have been kind of meh. But Iron Rain is the exception. This is the most polished the series has ever been, and I think this might even be the best of the series. I still need to let this game sit with me for a little bit longer before fully making that judgment, but I had a ton of fun playing this one, and would be crazy not to include it on this list. If you've never played an EDF game, you can't go wrong with either Iron Rain or Earth Defense Force 5. But personally, I really like Iron Rain. Number 6. Daimon Ex Machina. I love customizable robot games, with LBX, Custom Robo, and Metabots being a few of my favorites. So when Daimon Ex Machina was announced at E3 2018, I was pretty dang hyped. Then in February 2019, the prototype demo dropped, and all my hype died. I was skeptical when the full game finally released, but I was assured by my friends that they had fixed the game, and holy crap, they sure did. This game is fantastic, and I love playing it. While not the game I was expecting, it became its own thing, and it's very fun to play. I just wish I had played more of it because I'm not super far into the campaign, and playing with friends online is really fun. Hopefully in the new year I'll get to do more missions with friends and build an awesome mech. Definitely recommend this for those who are fans of robots, mecha, and anyone who wants to get into the genre. Number 5. Power Rangers, Battle for the Grid. We've gotten a lot of really great 2D fighting games in the last few years. Dragon Ball FighterZ, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, and Blade Strangers being a few of my favorites. But the fighting game I played the most in 2019 was Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I'm sure I don't need to tell you all that I'm a big Power Rangers fan. So when I saw that developer Enway were making a team-based 2D fighter with the franchise, well, I was in. Now, this game isn't perfect. It is a budget title slated for $20 for the base game, and then additional costs for character packs, but that price point I think suited this game perfectly. The game was a little bare bones at launch with no story mode, matchmaking, and the roster is still kind of small, but they have been adding more characters and features as time goes on, both for free and in the character packs. The game was developed with the fighting game community in mind, and even big names in said competitive circles were included in the development and QA, so this game was developed in a positive direction. Not to mention, it includes crossplay, except for PS4, so you can play with your friends regardless of platforms, unless they're on PS4. All in all, a solid fighting game, and even if you're not a Power Rangers fan, I still recommend checking this one out. Number 4. Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. I was not a big fan of the first Ukulele game, and that's mostly because I'm not a big fan of 3D collectathons. I didn't grow up with Banjo-Kazooie, and other 3D platformers like Mario 64 just aren't my thing. So when I heard about Ukulele and the Impossible Lair, I wasn't big on the idea, but since the game is a 2D platformer with most of the puzzles being left to the overworld, I thought why not give it a shot. This game is really fun, and I spent countless hours playing it. It's got 2 major segments, with the 2D platforming being akin to games like Donkey Kong Country, Yoshi's Island, and Earthworm Jim. The overworld isn't just a map, but contains puzzles and items used to unlock more 2D stages. I also love this game's humor, my favorite joke being when Trowser introduced a physical paywall that requires stage tokens to pass by. Speaking of, each stage has 5 tokens to collect, which are required to bypass the paywalls. You don't need to get all of them, but this certainly will scratch that collectathon itch players of the first game might have. While I wasn't fond of the first game, this one certainly won me over. I just hope Playtonic makes a sequel to this game, as I'm ready for more 2D platforming goodness from them. Number 3. River City Girls. Beat-em-ups have gotten kind of a resurgence in the past decade, with games like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Way of the Passive Fist, and Fight and Rage just to name some notable ones. But the best I've played in a very long time has to be River City Girls. In a twist on the regular River City/Kunio game style, Kunio and Riki have been kidnapped, and it's up to their girlfriends, Misako and Kyoko, to rescue them. This game plays similar to previous games in the series, being a beat-em-up RPG of sorts, but it's in a 16-bit era style of graphics. The best part of this game is its charm. It just oozes with that perfect feel of retro beat-em-ups and a story that's very 80s and 90s feeling. Everything just feels solid, and I'm only halfway done the game. If you've been itching for the next great beat 'em up, River City Girls is one worth your time. It's also cute as heck. Kyoko's best girl. Number 2. Resident Evil 2 Remake. Resident Evil is a franchise I've only scratched the surface with, but I've been told that RE2 is one of the best. So when the remake of Resident Evil 2 finally dropped last year, using the same engine that RE7 was made on, I had to try it out. I really enjoyed this game and see why so many people are fond of it. It had the perfect blend of action and horror that kept me engaged and on edge, especially with Mr. X following us everywhere. I was a little concerned that Mr. X being in more of the game might become more annoying than frightening, kind of like how Debilitus and Haunting Ground is, but it just added to the panic I felt while playing. I'm still new to this series, but I was able to complete Leon's campaign with the help of my pal Canadian Jutsu, and I can't wait to see what the other campaigns hold. With Resident Evil 3 Remake coming out in April, I'm very excited to dive into more of this series. Number 1. Pokemon Sword and Shield. This might come off as a controversial choice for number 1, but it is the game I spent most of my time in the latter of 2019 playing. I won't go super in-depth with this one, as I've already spent 3 hours in a podcast discussing why I love this game, but simply put, this is the most polished game in the Pokemon series and had a ton of quality of life changes. Not to mention a much improved story, well fleshed out characters, really cool new Pokemon, and new features like Dynamaxing and raid battles. This game is slowly eating away my free time. It's not free from issues such as pop-in, occasional glitches, and people exploiting raids, but all in all, this has to be the best gaming experience I've had in 2019 and continues to be a great experience into 2020. With the expansion pass content coming in June and fall of this year, you can bet I'll be playing and streaming more of this game. What were your top 10 games of 2019? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to see how my choices differ from everyone else's. In any case, let's hope 2020 gives us just as many great games to play. Hey guys, thanks again for watching my top 10 games of 2019. Shout out to my patrons here on screen. If you'd like early access to my videos, behind the scenes extras, and a whole lot more, consider backing me on Patreon. If you like this video, why not give it a like and a share, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos and hit that bell to get notifications. You can also keep up to date with my videos by following facebook.com/Zeromaster fan page, following on Twitter @Zeromaster, or coming out to my streams every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Zeromaster. Eager for more videos? I got some. On the left will be my last review of 2019 on Mega Man 11, and on the right will be my playthrough of Resident Evil 2 Remake with my pal Canadian Jutsu. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time for my top games of the last decade.